So these two names, Eastern Goldfinch and Willow Goldfinch, are derived in different states of North America, which shows how widespread the American goldfinch is. It was chosen by school children in Washington in 1951. I don't know the full story of it, but I am very surprised that the school children, for the first time, not scientists, chose the bird's name. But the scientific name of the American goldfinch is Good morning. I hope you're doing well today, and I hope your day is going great. But if not, that is totally fine. Welcome to the Early Bird Weekly Podcast. I'm Ritiksha Satish Kumar, and in today's episode, we are going to be learning about a very tiny bird. It is the American goldfinch. It is a very common bird throughout North America, but it does have very nice, interesting facts, just like every other bird. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. And, Christmas is coming up, so I put up some decorations in the back wall, if you didn't notice. And I have my little reindeer here. But let's come back to the star of today's episode, the American goldfinch. So before we go into the episode, let's do some breathing exercises just to relax, ground ourselves, and stay focused. So you can close your eyes if you want to, or just open them. We're going to do 3 breaths in and out. Take it as slowly as you can, and really focus on getting rid of negative thoughts and trying to focus on whatever you're doing, focus on the episode, or just relax. So you can close your eyes, breathe in, and out, very slowly. Breathe in, and out. Last time here, take it as slowly as you can. Let go of any thoughts that are bothering you. Just focus on what's good and what's positive. Breathe in. And out. You can open your eyes if you are closing them. I hope you feel relaxed and I hope you feel focused. So let's get into the first fact about the American goldfinch. The American goldfinch is the state bird of Iowa and New Jersey, where it is called the Eastern goldfinch, and Washington, where it is called the willow goldfinch. So these two names, Eastern goldfinch and Willow goldfinch, are derived in different states of North America, which shows how widespread the American goldfinch is. It was chosen by school children in Washington in 1951. I don't know the full story of it, but I am very surprised that the school children, for the first time, not scientists, chose the bird's name. But the scientific name of the American goldfinch is different. We'll get to that later. The second fact is that the American goldfinch do not act aggressively towards predators within their territory. The only reaction is alarm calling. So they're very peaceful birds. I watched a video about the American goldfinch, and it looks like they like to be with other birds. Sometimes, pairs would form colonies just to defend against predators. So even when feeding in feeders or flocking, these birds are very I feel like social. They are very social, and they like to be in colonies. They are very peaceful. So, according to the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, the American goldfinch is one of the strictest vegetarians in the bird world. So, the American goldfinch actually eats a lot of seeds. It's a granivore. So, mostly it only eats seeds either from the ground or from thistles, milkweed, or cattails. The fourth fact here, in the winter months, American goldfinches often eat at bird feeders provided by humans. And their favorite seeds are Niger seeds, actually, commonly and erroneously called thistle seed. So thistle is their very, very favorite seed. And sometimes, these birds actually have the latest kind of breeding season, which is like in July, which is very, very late after every other bird. So the reason for this is the thistle seeds bloom later. So that's why whenever they have thistle seeds available abundantly, these birds choose to breed around those times, because that would prove advantageous for the energy needed to raise their nestlings. So other birds do this as well. They can vary in breeding season, either earlier, an average breeding season, or a later breeding season, mostly according to the availability of food. We see that in the American goldfinch as well. The fifth fact here, the brilliant lemon yellow color of a male American goldfinch is produced by carotenoid pigments from plant materials in their diet. So we've encountered the famous carotenoid pigment before. I think it was in the Rose Robin episode, and then the Spoonbill episode. So far, we have seen two birds that have their colors based on or derived from the carotenoid pigments. I do have some green tea here, just like every day. Today it is a little bit more warmer because, I don't know, it's just warmer. So, the sixth fact here, the nest of the American goldfinches is so tightly woven that it can hold water. So these American goldfinches are very, very, protective over their nest, especially when there's nest building. The males get more defensive, so that's when the males kind of fight against other males. But other than that, these birds are very, very peaceful, just like I said. Only when there are predators, they do the alarm calling, so that other birds can also be warned against that predator, which is also seen in many other birds. I think we saw that in the chickadee episode, that the chickadees actually are the most alarm calling birds. They do the most alarm calling. But yeah, alarm calling is a very common phenomenon in birds and is a very useful phenomenon as well, and it's very cool. Moving on, I'm still in the same fact for the nest. The nest of the American goldfinch is so tight that it can hold water. So you can imagine how much work they would put into it to make a nest that tight. And it is possible for nestlings to drown following a rainstorm if the parents do not cover the nest. American goldfinches use their feet extensively in feeding. They can easily feed upside down. So the American goldfinches are very acrobatic, just like the Shima and Naga. Moving on to the eighth fact, the American goldfinches try to avoid conflicts when they show only the side of the body to an aggressor, leaning away, flexing the legs, retracting the neck, and pointing the beak down. So, as I said, the American goldfinches are very peaceful, and they try to avoid conflict by all these bodily languages. So yeah, those are some facts that I had about the American goldfinches. And by the way, I get all of my information mostly from animalia.bio. It's a very good website. If you are interested in learning about any of these birds, just search up their scientific name or their actual name, and I'm sure it will pop up. So yeah, moving on to the ecological niche of the American goldfinch. Due to their seed-eating preferences, the American goldfinches help to disperse seeds in the ecosystem that they live in. So we can see that eating seeds is very important for birds as well as for the ecosystem, because that is one way that we can keep nature growing. So that's a very nice thing. The population of the goldfinch is actually not very set. One website suggests that in total there are 24 million individuals, and then another website suggests that it has 42 million. so I don't really know which one is right. The American goldfinches are of least concern, so they don't really have any threats except for predators. So yeah, very nice to hear that. Moving on to the family of the American goldfinch, and the scientific name. The family, it's from the family Fringillidae. I think that's how you pronounce it, either Fringillidae or Fringillidae. Some of the other finches in this family are the chaffinch, the house finch, and there's also other birds like the pine siskin, the canary, etc. And all are kind of the same size of the goldfinch, so I can see how they're all related. And the scientific name of the goldfinch is Spinus tristis. I don't really know as to how the scientific name was derived, but it is a very cool name. The American goldfinch, just to give an overview of the bird, it is a small migratory bird in the finch family. It's the only finch to undergo a full molt, which means it sheds its feathers and it grows new feathers. We'll learn more about it as we move further into the episode. The American goldfinch is a granivore, which means seed eating. The American goldfinch is a part of the bright yellow collection. So last time I think we saw the barn owl, which was the part of the Hairbringers of Misfortune collection. The bright yellow collection consists of animals like the eyelash viper, which is very yellow by the way, the golden oriole, which looks very similar to the American goldfinch, the golden lion tamarin, and many other yellow animals, and it's very cool. So yeah, those are some just a little overview of the American goldfinch there. Now moving on to its appearance, we can see that the American goldfinches molt in the spring and in the autumn, and this is actually tied to their breeding. As I said, they breed very late, and this might be because they are molting. And the molting process, just to clarify, is the shedding of feathers and the regrowth of new feathers. So this molting process happens in other birds as well, but not 2 times. This is the only bird, I think, or one of the only birds that goes through 2 molting processes and molts completely in its family. So the molting process also takes a lot of energy, and since it takes a lot of energy, the birds would not have enough energy to raise their nestlings, and that is probably why they wait until they molt 2 times and then start to breed. The American goldfinch is very small. It only weighs 11 to 20 grams and its length is only 11 to 14 centimeters, but it is very widespread all throughout North America. We also see some sexual dimorphism in the American goldfinch, which means, by the way, differences between males and females. So we can see some dimorphism in the feathers of the males and the females. So the males have vibrant yellow feathers in the summer, and they molt or turn into olive brown during the winter. But the females have a dull yellow feather shade, or a dull brown shade. It's the males that are very vibrant, only in the summer. It's very cool to see that males lose their color in the winter and then they grow it back. It's very cool. Moving on to the location or the geography of the American goldfinch. They breed across North America from coast to coast. So they are very widespread all across North America, and they are short distance migrators, which means they migrate for a short distance for the winter. They move south actually, to Canada or Mexico. And also they are found in fields, floodplains, meadows, orchards, gardens, and feeders. If you want to see a goldfinch or attract a goldfinch, try to put out a feeder that has thistle seeds in it, because that is their favorite seed. Okay, so let's move on to some of the habits or the lifestyle of the American goldfinch. So these birds often vocalize during their flight, producing a tweet 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 or t t t t t calls, punctuated by silent periods. I'll attach a recording of the bird call so you can, listen to it. Yeah, so that's how they sound. And they are, as you know, found in large flocks. Another word for this is gregarious. Gregarious means they are found in large flocks. And their nest construction, as I said, these birds are very defensive when they construct their nests, especially the males. They become aggressive when there is an intruder during their next nest construction, but that is the only time that they're aggressive. They show the front of their body to the intruder to like scare them away, and like there are other things that the males do to scare the intruder away. The American goldfinches are diurnal feeders, and they frequently hang from seed heads while feeding in order to reach the seeds more easily. So as we saw, they're very acrobatic. And also, I found out that the American goldfinches have a group name, actually 4 group names. They can be called Charm, Rush, Treasury, or Vain. These are all very cool names, as opposed to the barn owl episode. We saw that the barn owl group name is Parliament and Stare. So those are very weird, but they kind of fit the barn owl description. Moving on to some, mating habits. The goldfinch is actually serially monogamous, which means it mates with a different pair every breeding season. So they usually, breed in late July, as I told you, like in summer, which is very unusual for birds because they usually breed during the spring, autumn, but these birds they breed during the summer. And breeding starts with courtship displays. The male actually does a lot of aerial maneuvers, which means it does a lot of tricks in the air, and it's very cool to see other birds do their own courtship displays. It's very different. It's one of the things that really, really fascinate me in birds. So, and also these males sing. So combined with the aerial maneuvers and singing, they try to attract a female. And I'm sure there are other things that they do as well. And then when the male gets accepted, the pair flies in wide circles as the male sings, which is very interesting because, we don't really see the pair dancing. We usually see the male doing something to attract the female. But in this case, after it gets accepted, they kind of do this celebration, or I don't know what they feel when they do it. They fly in wide circles while the male sings. Yeah, I'm sure it has a good voice. So when the male gets selected, it actually makes a boundary, like a territory, by warbling. So warbling means singing with trills, quivers, or embellishments, kind of, vocalizing or riffing, I guess, as he flies from perch to perch. So that's how he makes a boundary, which is very cool to see. And 2 or 3 pairs sometimes group in colonies for defense. We saw that against predators. And the nest is built by the female in the branches of a deciduous shrub or tree at a height of up to 10 meters or 33 feet. So that's pretty high. These birds build nests very, they weave it very tightly. We saw that. And they're lined with milkweed, thistle, and cattail. And I think they put some soft things inside as well. So yeah. The female lays 4 to 6 bluish-white eggs, which are they're the size of a peanut, which is understandable because these birds are very tiny as well. These eggs are incubated by the female for 12 to 14 days. In this case, the female is the only one that incubates the eggs. And after 3 days, the nestlings open their eyes, and then after 11 to 15 days, they grow their olive plumage. And for 3 weeks after that, the male actually feeds the fledglings until they fly away. And the male actually locates the chick by listening to its fledgling call, which is very cool. A form of communication. And yeah, that is all I have for you guys today about the American goldfinch. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that, you learned more about a very common bird. So that brings us to the end of this early bird episode. I hope you enjoyed learning about the American goldfinch, and tune into my episode next week when we'll be chatting about another very cool bird. And I apologize for not posting last week because I was actually sick, and I don't think you would want to hear my voice last week. It was very bad. But I'm okay now, and I still have a lot of schoolwork left, but I decided to make the episode very early so that I have time for my schoolwork after. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope you guys learned something new. I really enjoyed learning about the American goldfinch. If you still want to learn more about it, then you can definitely check out animalia.bio, and there are other videos on YouTube and documentaries that you can check out too. So, don't forget to follow this podcast on social media. If you would like to leave a message, you can do that in my Instagram. The username is early_bird_weekly_podcast. I know it's a very long username. Or if you'd like to send me an email, you can send it to earlybirdweeklypodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to ask any questions or give feedback. I'm open to any suggestions for the future episodes as well. Sometimes I do run out of options, even though it seems like there are thousands of species of birds. I get very confused which one to pick every week. So yeah, I'm open to any suggestions. If you liked this episode, you can share this to your family and friends. That is always very, very helpful. Or feel free to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or a rating on Spotify. Or just keep listening, just keep doing what you do. So thank you so much for being here with me, and I hope you have a nice day. Goodbye.